Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another Parent Pivot podcast. We are your host,
Julia Cummings.
I let you go first this time, and I'm Steve Cummings. Hey, we thought we would come on the air with some very current pivoting content in light of really some national news that happened last week.
Yep.
And we know that probably a lot of you pivoting parents are having to maybe possibly deal with kind of the what do you call it? The
Backlash?
Well, we talked about this before when the election happened and how a lot of adult children were cutting off their parents because who they voted for. This is kind of similar to that because not knowing how your adult children experienced the assassination of Charlie Kirk, we want to talk about not that, but just how to handle conversations, right?
Yeah, we're definitely not here to talk about all of that. It's pretty clear it's been a tough week for the country in
An
general.
Emotional one too.
Very emotional.
Yeah.
Just to see this happen in our country this way has just been a little unnerving. And speaking to people on both sides, it's been unnerving for everyone. However, where we wanted to come in, because our podcast is about parents of adult children, many of you have contacted us through the months about your children not talking to you. Many of them stopped talking to you in November after the election happened. When kids stopped talking, adult kids, felt very strongly about the election, and they stopped talking to their parents for whatever reason, because they voted the wrong way. They didn't want to show up at holidays because of how you voted, things like that. So I just wanted to address that. I'm imagining that many of you who listen, we come from a Christian perspective in parenting adult children, or not parenting.
Partnering with adult children.
Freudian slip there. But just because we come from a Christian worldview does not mean that a lot of the same struggles are the same. So I just wanted to address this from the standpoint of, if you've had a hard week because of this, no matter which side of the aisle you sit on, perhaps the first point I want to make is, if you've struggled and you feel very emotional about it, and very strongly about it, your adult child, if they think differently than you do, may not be a safe place for you to be talking about that.
Right.
It is not with them it probably isn't a great idea. You may not know how they have reacted to it. If they have been on that side that looks pretty ugly at this point of
celebrating it on social media,
or he deserved it, or things like that, that might be a point of contention for you too. I'm not saying that either of you is right or wrong or anything like that. My point is, be careful about who you have these conversations with. Does that mean that you have to be inauthentic? If so, that's the number one point. I'm trying to be clear here. I want to make sure that I make clear points. So number one is, your adult child may not be the safe person to have that conversation with.
Okay. So what I hear you saying is, if they're not safe, don't even bring it up.
Right. On your part.
They may go off. So what I was thinking is, I heard you say that, sweetie.
Yes.
They may go off on it. And what I hear you saying is, don't engage.
No, that's not necessarily what I'm saying. So don't engage where it becomes a quarrel. However, this is the piece that becomes so hard in all the things that we talk about, is, how do I care for myself and my own heart? How do I be authentic to my feelings? So what you can say to not engage is, you know what? I have strong feelings about this like you do, and I care too much about our relationship to have this conversation. I'm going to go talk to a therapist or my pastor or a close friend about this. And I would suggest you take your strong feelings and you go talk to someone as well.
Right.
This is not a conversation for us to have because I want to protect our relationship. I definitely don't think you should deny your feelings. I don't think that you should be inauthentic. Like I said, it's been a really tough week. A lot of tears on so many people's parts. And again, I've seen that on both sides of the aisle where it was just too much to think this is what our country has become. So it's such a bigger conversation that, again, your adult child may not be the safest person to have this conversation with. And number two, if that adult child brings it up to you, you can be authentic with how you're feeling about it. You can say, I have very strong feelings about this, and I don't want to engage in this with you. I want to go speak to a therapist, a friend, whoever is safe for you. And I want you to go do the same. But let's protect our relationship. So those are my two big, strong points. What do you have to add? Because I may have more to say after you talk. We'll see.
No, I think in hearing you say that, sweetie, I just I think about, again, it goes back to having a relationship over being right, and obviously our country is having a hard time with that.
Yeah.
When we grew up, the two parties actually talked to each other, talked about their ideas, and they worked things out. Those days are long gone. So this isn't a political podcast. It's about, they always say, don't talk about politics, religion, and something else with your family.
Politics and religion.
Politics and religion.
It's pretty much those,
yeah. And what we're saying is this kind of fits in that one category because this has affected the whole country. So I agree. I hear what you're saying, and I agree with that. You're putting it in a nice little box to basically say, I feel strongly about it, and I don't really want to impinge on our relationship. And really, this goes with any topic that you see, that that you're going to open a can of worms, and it could get reactionary and volatile. So this is just one of many topics. Maybe you've got 15 other ones that are the same way, and you always know, if I engage with this adult child, it is not going to go well. So what we're saying is, and when I hear you saying, she's saying it, not me, I just recap. And I get paid very well for doing this. Actually, we don't get paid at all. What I hear you saying is, put it in a nice box. Yeah. Put a boundary around it.
Yeah.
You're saying be authentic, but it's not necessarily you're going to communicate that authenticity to the adult child. You're going to say, hey, I love you. And the conversation about that, if we don't see eye to eye on it, I want to put that aside.
Yeah.
Because the relationship is more important than having two different viewpoints.
Yeah. And with that, I just also want to say there is the chance that your adult child, if they're have very strong feelings about that they might not let that go. They could very well raise the temperature in the room, begin a yelling, and things like that. So my advice to you is you stay even and calm, and you keep saying the same thing over and over again. I don't want to engage in this. I'm not going to have this conversation with you. You talk in this tone, even if they're calling you names, if they're saying horrible things to you and they're screaming, you can walk out of the room. You can say, I'm not going to have this conversation. I love you too much. And you walk out of the room. You can say the same thing over and over and over again. The calmer you stay, it could be that they get even louder because it makes them mad that you won't engage. But engaging will get you nowhere.
Right. Yeah.
It gets you nowhere.
It's just going to fracture the relationship. Yeah. And what I appreciate about you is I've learned that from you, and I've watched you do that in public settings, which I don't need to go into.
I'd love to tell that story sometime.
Maybe this is it. I mean, so to give you a perfect example of what we're talking about, and you can tell the shorter story, but we were on an airplane.
Yeah, about 10 years ago.
Flying from Portland, Oregon down to Orange County for Thanksgiving to see our family.
Yeah, we got, Are you going to let me tell it, the short version?
Yes. Do you notice I haven't moved the mic over to her just yet? But this goes to the point of when someone's out of control, Julia remained completely professional. Go for it, hon.
Yes. So I'm gonna try to tell this story really short. Like Steve said, we were on a flight. We sat in what's it called, the exit row. I had gotten on the plane. The flight attendant who's standing in the
I got him first.
Yeah. Steve would get in first. This is the way we travel.
I'm the detailed guy.
Yeah. We always travel where Steve usually has the A list or whatever and gets a seat for us, and I come in later and
You just gave away the airlines.
Oh, well, there you go. Actually, I have no problem giving away the name of the airline. They did
a really good job.
They did a good job of making it right. In any case, I came on with a backpack. The flight attendant that, kind of stands in one of the locales, like towards the middle of the plane, yelled at me the second I got on the plane, yelled at me, "Watch your backpack." And she's yelling from like the middle of the plane, and we're like sitting closer to the front. Anyway, so it just went from bad to worse. She, for whatever reason, decided I was some kind of hellion. And I get some flight anxiety. So my method of operating at this time of my life was I would have like a magazine, and I'm like reading the magazine. Well, there are still people getting on the plane, sitting down, doing whatever in the aisle. And all of a sudden she comes up to give her spiel about the exit row. And it was a lot earlier than usual. And
the plane, it wasn't quiet. It was just, she started in on it.
It was the whole experience was very bizarre. Anyway, and she stood there and she yelled at me again. And she said, "Ma'am, if you're not going to pay attention, I'm going to have to move you." And I said, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that you were starting." And she said, "Well, everybody else did." I mean, that's what I was dealing with. So I was very hyper apologetic the whole time. This went on and on.
Well, you paid attention the very first time that she asked you to.
I did.
And she continued to push it and react more and more and more. And you
so
remained calm.
I stayed calm the whole time. I just knew this person seems a little off. I'm going to stay calm. And she just heightened it. The odd thing is we had two traveling pilots sitting behind us who were going from point A to point B at work. So they were dressed in their pilot uniforms.
We already made our point. You remained calm.
I remained calm. But there's more to the story. So anyway, long story short, she ended up moving us. I continued to apologize.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I've got to bring up a good detail here. This is too good of a story.
Okay.
They had already closed the door. Okay.
Yes.
And I really am at fault for antagonizing her more, you guys. I am the one that, as they're moving us, I'm just sitting there watching this woman terrorize my wife, who's remaining calm. And it's like, I need to say something because I'm sorry, you cannot treat my wife that way. And all I could picture was there's nothing good to say that's not going to get me arrested by the TSA and the headlines across the Portland newspaper saying vice president of this school arrested and I'm like, what do I say?
Don't say it.
I won't say it. I didn't say bad words.
It wasn't any bad words.
Yeah, it wasn't any bad words. But anyway, she heard that when stomp, 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 got the pilot or the captain, they'd already closed the door. When they closed the door, all of a sudden they announced after we moved, "Hey, we have a..."
Well, we haven't gotten there yet.
Sorry.
So by the time she moved...
Half our podcast is this story.
Yes, exactly. By the time she moved us, I'm still apologizing, but people behind us started kind of yelling at her because they're like, "She's apologized, get over it," things like this. So I didn't have to defend myself. So then we're sitting there settled. I'm apologizing to the people around me again because I feel so bad that this whole thing has happened. And all of a sudden over the loudspeaker, they say, "We're going to be a few more minutes. We have a safety issue that we need to take care of." So we're sitting there thinking there's something wrong with the plane.
Right.
That's a safety issue. And the next thing we know, the door opens, the gate agent and the nasty flight attendant are standing in our row.
Stop, and they stop at a row.
And I look up and I say, "Are we the safety issue?" And they said, "I'm sorry, we're going to have to escort you off the plane." And so I, again, stayed calm.
Everybody else was yelling in our favor. They were coming to our defense. Even the gate agent, he was getting into it with. Then he's like, "Whoa, cool down, people, cool down."
Yeah, because everybody was pretty ticked off because they had seen the whole interaction, and the pilots are cowering in their seats.
We did the walk of shame.
But it was the walk of shame.
Get our luggage out.
When we walked out, the captain of the plane, the pilot, is standing in his doorway looking at us like we are terrorists being taken off of a plane. And I just looked at him and I just straightened the eyes. I wasn't going to cower. And I said, "You have a really upset plane back there." And I walked out. I stayed calm. I said all those things. The minute we got off the plane, I fell apart and started crying and didn't stop until we got back down to Orange County.
I'm a type A person. I reacted a different way. We are going to take care of this problem. And we did. I'm not going to go into that story, but basically the point here is, hey, there's a heated thing going on. Somehow they're interpreting these events in a different way than we are.
Yes.
And in any conversation, whether it's with your adult children or your spouse or a coworker or whatever, the more you can remain calm, you look like the one, even though you might not have it all together. But I've learned from Julia on this. I go, you are the one that looks like, okay, this person's not going nuts, and you stay calm while the other person keeps reacting.
Because the whole thing is she had made up her mind about whoever I was, and I don't know what she thought, but I was clearly the sound one in the situation, and she just kept trying to escalate. She was trying to get me to have so that she was justified in what she was doing.
Right.
So it's the same with your adult children when you do not see eye to eye on an issue, that you stay calm and you let it go.
Well,
you walk away. You, like I said, say the same line over and over again. "I'm not going to engage with you. This isn't going to help us, blah, blah, blah."
And what I believe is coming up sometimes is just like some old wounds that haven't been addressed,
Absolutely.
Probably with you, mom, or you, dad. And you're not going to get to it in that moment. All they know is maybe for however many years, you've always been right and you've done this. And again, it's their perspective. I'm not saying that they're right, but they're fueled by that because they need to prove to you they're right this time.
Yeah.
And what we're saying is just set a very quiet and firm boundary. Hey, I value our relationship more than this topic.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, just keep remaining calm. And I'd say if you repeat yourself more than 3 times, then it's time to go, I'm going to go in the other room and let you,
yeah. And
decompress.
I really do believe in today's world, therapy is very much embraced and acknowledged as a good thing. And so if you are the one that has clarity in the moment and is saying something like, "I have strong feelings about this too, and I'm going to go talk to someone about it because I do have strong feelings. I hope you do the same." Even if in that moment they aren't agreeing, they're getting more angry, you don't know what their thought process will be after they leave you, or 5 years from now, or 10 years from now. And the fact that you remained calm when they were being ugly and volatile will mean something at some point. Right. I really believe that.
Well, yes. And I also think too, that depending on how old your adult child is, I mean, it's one thing if they're, say, in their 20s, maybe 30s, but the older they get, maybe they've had more capacity to really realize, yeah, you know what, this isn't worth hassling, that they've now got the capacity to just kind of let that go. But I would think the more consistent we get as pivoting partners at this ability to find a quick resolution to what could be a potential powder keg, then later on they're going to go, hey, you know what, my parents, I really love them for doing that.
Mhm.
That's the bigger arching thing. They're probably not going to see it or verbalize that with you right now, but coming back later they will. And so always remember, it's their perspective
Yes.
based on what they know, based on where they're getting their information. Because it's like, you know what, this actually, in a different way, I've been learning about how I need to trust God with my reputation,
Mhm.
which basically is, there's a piece of information about me that you know about that's really not accurate, true. So therefore I need to speak up and say something. And really what I've learned is it's a discipline of silence.
Mhm.
That's really, on a spiritual bent, that's really where we want to go is, you know what, this isn't worth dying on. This hill is
Yeah.
not worth dying on. The discipline of silence is just to say, you know what, inside I'm just going to say, I love this adult child.
Mhm.
I just want to have nothing but good thoughts for them. And I'm just going to pray to myself, Father, give them eyes to see and ears to hear. That's it. Nothing else that says, change their mind about this, change their mind about that. It's like, no, Father, everything for me, it's like, I need eyes to see and ears to hear. So it's like, focus on me. What can I do? We're always wanting to focus on the partner. As you pivot, you're focusing on you. What can I do to keep relationship at its maximum? And what we're saying here is, in light of the events that happened in our country a week or so ago, by the time this airs, it'll be a week from Wednesday, huh?
Yeah.
We're still feeling the ramifications. There's still more information coming out. Even that can be, again, maybe you haven't talked about it, but something comes up and they want to say, yeah, and point the finger. And it's like, I'm not going to engage.
Yeah. It's a sad situation.
It is.
And there's no point to talking it through. I'm sure you guys have talked it through with people. But again, I just want to, I think you said it well. Number one, it's a powder keg.
Mm.
I think that's a really good phrase for it. And keep those boundaries. Keep those boundaries and look in the mirror. Always be looking in the mirror. What can I do? As much as it depends upon you, get along with one another. It's biblical. So
I was just thinking about this in our book, The Parent Pivot, which is available on Amazon. I don't have a copy in front of me, but I was just thinking, when you're looking for things to affirm your child about, you can take the negative feelings that are going on and think, my son-in-law, daughter-in-law, whoever it is, they're a passionate person.
passionate.
That's good. Passion is a good thing. Oh, look, I did a thumbs up that showed up on the YouTube screen. How about that? They're passionate. They fight for what they believe in. Might be different than what I believe in,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, what can you affirm them for? Not in that moment, but just like, I love this about you. So just kind of file that away in the memory bank, because one of the things we have in our Parent Pivot book is finding those characteristics to speak life into them.
Yeah.
We tend to think of, okay, this is a negative situation. Why would I ever? I'm not telling you to affirm them with their thoughts on that, but I'm asking you to look at their character, who they are, and even though they are differing than you, look, they're passionate people, person.
Yeah. I fully agree with that. Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't have much more to say.
Okay.
It's a heavy topic and it's a difficult topic. And if your child is bending toward the ugly, it's going to be hard to watch. It's going to be hard for you to fathom. This is a long game, so to speak. I hate that word game, but it's a long game. You are waiting for your adult child to grow up, in a sense, to care more about the relationship like you do. There are a lot of different things there going on. And I think your prayer is really good. One of my prayers is take the scales off of my eyes, off of their eyes, whatever. It's the same prayer, basically.
Yeah.
Give me eyes to see and ears to hear. But if we've learned nothing else this week, that is what we need, is big honking ears to listen and hear. And Yeah.
And I'll close with this. One of the biggest things I'm learning is in a situation, it's not what am I supposed to do?
Mm.
But when I step back, when it's all over, it's like, okay, wow, God, I didn't see that coming. What do you want me to know
Mm-hmm.
about either that situation that just happened or show me my adult child as you see them?
Mm.
What do you want me to know about them? Help me to see that good in them and things. And those are things I'm learning as I sit back. And it's like, I again, I think I told you guys a few podcasts ago, the word I got for the year is unoffendable. So it's like, you know what? In what you described with our situation in the plane, you were not being offendable. And as Spanish, and when she kept poking and poking and poking and trying to get you to react, it didn't happen. I think that frustrated her even more. Unfortunately, I'm the one that's reacting. But again, I didn't say any bad words, so it's like you cover for me right
you
now.
really didn't say anything wrong, but
No.
it
just Anyway, all that to say, hey, thanks for another 25, 30 minutes on the Parent Pivot podcast. We love having you on here. If you buy a copy of the book at Amazon, we could use some reviews on Amazon. If you think it's any good, just give us a star and say, they're okay. If you think it's worth 5 stars, we would appreciate that. We always love for you to share this on your social media with other people that you know might need to hear this exact podcast. Hello. And people are always joining us like midway. They're like, hey, I just found your podcast. And they're joining us at, episode number 130 or whatever we're at. And we have another 129 of them to listen to. So yeah, that's it. So we'll be back on Tuesday next week for another edition of the Parent Pivot podcast.
Goodbye.